Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of Oscar's Guitar Shop. I'm contributing writer Oscar Jordan with Vintage Guitar Magazine, and I am burdened with glorious purpose. Yes, I am. Thank you very much. Thank you. I have a great show lined up for you right now.
Hello.
I have a great guest full of with great questions and life-changing interviews, and it's very cool music. Hey, Phil, is that you?
It was. I can barely hear you. It's like a lot of white noise and just weirdness.
Hang on tight, okay? Because we're giving it all away. I want to introduce you properly, like a good American gentleman. Hold on, okay? Hang on. First of all, I'd like to thank all my cool sponsors who stuck by me, and all my loyal listeners and all my new listeners. Welcome, and thanks for joining me. Would you like to help Oscar's Guitar Shop? Would you? Yes, I bet you would.
Absolutely.
Phil would. Phil is sending me a guitar. It's on its way right now. Go to OscarsGuitarShop.com and click donations to the show. Share the magic. I can't hear
a word you're saying. I'm sorry. it's just cutting out. It's just like...
You can't hear what I'm saying?
I heard that, but it's just going in and out.
All right, just hang on. We'll fix that in a second.
Okay.
Oscar's Guitar Shop is powered by True Tone Music. Visit them at TrueToneMusic.com, making your music come to life. Also, Mojave Ampworks. Visit the Oasis of Tone at MojaveAmpsWorks.com. Find out what Peter Frampton, Billy Gibbons, and George Lynch are talking about. MojaveAmpWorks.com. Want to become a sponsor? Email me at OscarsGuitarShop@gmail.com. And now, it's time.
I can hear them.
last interviewed Phil Collen a few years ago for an issue of Premier Guitar Magazine, he told me, I can kick a 6'5" guy in the head if I wanted to. Phil Collen is not your average 50-something Muay Thai practitioner with brutal kicks and devastating elbow strikes. He's also one half of the guitar team in one of the most successful rock bands in history. Def Leppard has sold over 100 million albums worldwide and is still going strong. Their live shows are something you must experience for yourself and bristle with raw, visceral excitement and top-tier craftsmanship. Viva Hysteria is really badass. I'm serious. It's a great album. Phil Collen's solo project, Manraze, with Simon Laffey on bass and Paul Cook on drums, is a stripped-down, finely tuned rock and roll machine with ballsy hooks, tight grooves, and in-your-face guitar. Collen is a front and center man, and he's got more chops than a butcher shop, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Phil Collen.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, man. I'm so glad you're here.
I can barely hear you going in and out. It's just like a lot of white noise and that. I don't know if you want to try on another line.
Okay, well, we'll just try to see if we can bear. Are you hearing me right now?
I can hear that, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, well, I'll try to stay close to the mic, and hopefully that'll help.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
How have you been doing?
I'm good, actually. I'm just recovering from an operation. My tendon slid off the bone just this last summer, and I had an operation in September, and I'm doing like physical therapy at the moment, and just learning to play guitar again, because I can't bend notes. I can't play like a D or a G chord. It's
So it's your left hand.
It's really interesting, yeah. So, but we're getting there. I should be good by January, I think.
Holy smokes! So
yeah.
So it's obviously your left hand, and
yeah,
that tendon is off the bone. That's not a good sounding thing, I don't think. Wow.
No, I kind of limped through the tour we did this summer. Got through that, and then I had to kind of sew it back on. So I had this operation in Paris, France. I went over there, and they hooked it up, and so I've just got a kind of very interesting, because I play guitar every day, obviously, and it's the first time in nearly 40 years where I had to take like 2 months off completely, and even now, just coming in, like I said, I can't play just the most basic chords. It's weird.
Wow, that is so bizarre. You must be going stir crazy.
A little bit. I mean, I learned slide guitar. I've been learning it anyway, because I couldn't actually, support the guitar and the hand. It's the strangest thing. So at least I was getting some stuff out, bit by bit,
Mm. So before the accident, did you get any recording done?
Loads. Actually, I got tons of stuff. We obviously done the Manraze single. That was early on this year. Mm-hmm. But also, we're doing a blues album. It's not a blues album. It's like extreme blues. It's like really badass. It's me and Debbie Blackwell Cook, who you hear singing on some of the Manraze stuff. She's singing at the end of the new single, and she's been on a bunch of stuff with me. She's a 60-year-old black woman who kind of sounds like a cross between Shaka Khan and Tina Turner in her prime. So it's my favorite voice, and she's just amazing. So we just been doing this thing. We started off kind of doing a couple of acoustic things, and everyone's going, "Oh my God, you guys, are you going to do an album?" So we kind of got pushed into that, and so we're actually doing an album. We've actually got some of it recorded. I just done a bunch of stuff before the operation, because I knew that was going to kind of mess things up. So we just went in and just went in. I was at home, and we just recorded. We've got like 5 songs on the go, and it's going to be like 11 or 12 songs. Right. And it's called Delta Deep.
Delta Deep.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I went to your website, and it talks about the single "I Surrender."
Right.
And so you have an EP that's just come out, correct?
It's coming out next week, actually, on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So we're really excited about that, because everyone's freaking out about that. Everyone's going, "Oh, it's the best Manraze song we've ever heard." So we're digging that. We're getting a lot of love. Yeah.
And so and then Delta Deep will come out later.
Yeah, that'll be next year. Obviously, I've got to get back into the swing of playing and everything. And then we're doing some Def Leppard recording. When I can actually we kind of scheduled for like February the 1st, because that's kind of when I think I'll be able to get by a little bit at least anyway. So fingers crossed.
Right. So you'll be out of physical therapy and you'll be ready to rock.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah, because we're waiting, man. We always like to hear the Def Leppard stuff and the songs, and I want to talk about Manraze a little bit more, because when I interviewed you a couple of years ago, you were talking more about how this afforded you the opportunity to just play more gritty and more, and it's less production. It's not as produced, and it's a more rawer version of you than what you could do in Def Leppard. Can you talk about
Absolutely.
that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is it's kind of diverse, and I think just the fact that I've always really dug lots of different styles of music. When I was a kid, it would be it'd be the Beatles and the Stones and the Who, but it also be Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin. It would be jazz stuff, Oscar Peterson, Joe Pass, everything and anything, a lot of the fusion stuff, and it all went in, and 70s funk and dub reggae, all of this, extreme punk stuff, and you can't always get it out if you stick in one genre. And I find this with a lot of musicians, they kind of just stay in their own little box, and that's never been my thing. So I've always wanted an opportunity to get out, and Manraze is that. It's obviously Paul Cook played in the Pistols, and Simon Laffey has got such a wide array of musical styles as well. He just wrote his second book actually, so it's a totally different thing. So with Manraze, we were just able to do anything we wanted. We would do a song that sounded like a 70s funk band, and then the next minute it would be like a hard rock band. So it's great. It's wonderful to do that. And the recording process. We done our second album in less than 2 weeks, which was again really super cool. You get it in 1 or 2 takes, and that was it. And I think you make up for performance and fire and vibe and everything. Sometimes you don't get the better sound or something, but you do make up for it with the fire and all that stuff. So that's the payoff, and again, if you're going to do like a Def Leppard album, and it's only been a few of them, like Pyromania, Hysteria, and Adrenalize. We really spent a lot of time on those albums, and that was a different thing. We were going in a different direction, but with Manraze, it's very instant, and I just actually love that. It's just very it's that thing, the scratch that you can't quite itch, and all of a sudden I can scratch it and get this stuff out, so it's perfect.
Yeah, for listeners not familiar with Manraze, I suggest you guys check out Punk Funk Rock Roots. There's like a reggae kind of tune on there, almost like a Police kind of vibe. There's some funky stuff. There's like some heavy punk kind of rock stuff. It's like you're getting your yayas out. And what's good about this is that you don't have to fight with anybody in Def Leppard about style, because you could do
Absolutely.
It with Manraze.
I think one of the problems any artist has if they have huge success is that you get stuck in a box a little bit, because fans want to hear a certain thing. You can't go off. Def Leppard, we wrote an album called Slang that came out in '96, and the fans really didn't like it. Most of them, they just wanted to hear, Pour Some Sugar on Me and Photograph. So you kind of get a little bit stuck, and you're painted into a corner with how you write songs. You can't be as expressive as you want to be. So we've wanted to do other stuff, but it happens with every artist. Queen or Prince. You really do. You're kind of stuck in that thing. You go to a Prince concert, everyone wants to hear 1999 or Purple Rain, and you kind of. He does his thing, but that's what it all comes back down to when he does the greatest hits tour, and everyone goes, "Oh my God," and they love it. So it's a good problem to have in one respect, because they're still your babies, these songs. But in the other token, you constantly grow as an artist, and you can't always get your groove on. So with Manraze, it's absolutely that we do get our groove on. It's like. If a song feels like it wants to go in a certain direction, we follow it, and it's such a beautiful thing. It's just a wonderful thing to be an artist and be able to, just creatively express yourself like that. It's just the best thing in the world, and we love it. The three of us, when we get together, it's just total fun. We love it.
Yeah, I was thinking about what you're saying, and even though it's kind of another side of your personality, what I also noticed that you bring to the table is that there is a strong songcraft, which you have always had in Def Leppard. I mean, the songs in Def Leppard are crafty. They're well-made songs. I'm not talking about production. I'm talking about great hooks, bridges, intros, choruses, the whole shebang. And you've brought that over to Manraze with a raw, kind of a more immediate feel. And I think
thank you.
That's going to work. Speaking of Manraze, I want to play the single.
Okay, great.
I Surrender. Check this out. Hang on tight. Just to warn you, Phil, people can hear everything that's going on the other side of your line. So I'm gonna,
really?
Yes,
okay.
I'm sorry about that. We're having a little technical issues here. But I'm going to play the single, and then we're going to come right back and talk about more stuff. Hang on tight.
Sounds good. Okay.
Lost in time. God.
Yeah. Nice work, Mr. Collen. Nice playing there. See, that's what I was talking about with the songcraft. Just a good, strong songs. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, that's what I meant by the craft and the songcraft. That's what you bring to Manraze.
Oh, thank you.
You're not like a 18-year-old, playing bar chords up and down the net, jumping up and down. I mean, these are great songs, and it has a lot of the energy that you're talking about of just going in and knocking it out in the studio and not spending 10 years on it,
Right, absolutely, yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's some songs kind of need that, but I think it's better if you can write the song first and get inspired, and then just quickly get inspired and follow it in the studio. It's such a great way of approaching it. I think it's a lot harder doing it the other way.
Yeah, people have said this in a million interviews about songwriting and recording. It's usually those early takes that are the magical ones. When you're laying it down. But
totally.
In the case of Def Leppard, you guys spent a lot of time. How do you manage to keep the magic after the 90-second take if you're trying to work something,
If Mutt Lange's producing it, it's actually okay because he knows what he's after, and he'll go, well, this has lost something, or he'll make sure he gets the right thing. I think there's a danger. Some of the stuff we've done in the past without Mutt, where we've actually lost that. You can easily lose the groove and the vibe by exactly that. I really think if you do it, if it takes more than 5 takes, or probably more than 3, you absolutely start losing something. So unless it's kind of way off or something. But I've even done stuff that's been way off or way out of tune, and it's got such a great vibe, or a mistake, that you actually keep it in there. So there's definitely something to be said for that. And, it depends on what you want and what the song kind of needs as well. Even on Hysteria, I remember we played, I played the solo on, what was the song, Run Riot. And, I kind of fluffed it, and Mutt goes, no, that's cool, it's got the right vibe. And I'm like, oh, man. So, every time I hear that go by, I go, yeah, I wish I'd have done that again. But it's totally fine because it works right for the song. So, but I totally agree. You do lose something after a few takes. It becomes something else other than just like, a vibe or a performance.
Yeah, I remember last time we spoke. I think Mutt Lange has this reputation as being this perfectionist studio guy, but you told me that he's a vibe guy. That he wants to hear the vibe. He wants to hear the feeling, and he will often grab those early takes. Is that true?
It is. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I've ended up doing on Hysteria ended up being, kind of 1 or 2 takes. We struggled with the stuff for a couple of years with different engineers and everything. We got back in the studio with Mutt, and it honestly there was a load of 1-take stuff. And there was a lot of experimental stuff, like all the whole ride-out section on Hysteria. There was just me and Mutt sitting in the studio and just experimenting with guitars and vocals, and a lot of those things that you hear at the end of that song in particular were all kind of like just 1-take kind of experimentation things, or total vibe. So sometimes you can't always get that, and certainly working with him, he'll go, okay, well, let's go this route or something else. So you never really know what you're going to get, which again is very exciting for an artist. It's kind of I love that whole experimentation thing, and just try and cut new routes and new ways of expressing yourself. It's great. So yeah, but it's not always like that, And again, like I said, with Def Leppard, it ends up not always being like that.
Do you think it's hurt the band at all that Mutt Lange has such a strong thumbprint as a producer?
No, I think if anything, I think it's helped us. Hysteria to me was probably the best thing we ever did, because it crossed over so much. There's very few albums that cross genres. Michael Jackson went from being a kid performer, being Jackson 5, a soul singer, R&B, or whatever you want to call it, and totally crossed over into white pop music and rock and everything else. And it's really rare that you do that. And I actually think Hysteria did that. And that takes that's some real man work. That, I mean, that's hard work, and it's kind of very difficult to achieve. It's very rare you get an artist do that. So we did that with Hysteria, and I'm so glad we did. I listened back to, you know, we just done this Viva Hysteria thing in Vegas, and just while I was relearning the parts and all that stuff, I was going, wow, this really was an amazing album. I think it was the best thing we did. You know, it's just leaps and bounds beyond anything else we ever done, I think.
But what I'm getting at is that, you know, those early albums, you know, Pyromania, Hysteria, they sound so amazing, and they sound so specific that like, if you guys want to do something more like a 70s rock band vibe thing, that's going to be hard to break out of that, like you were talking about earlier.
It is, and I think one of the other things, you know, I meet a lot of people and they go, you know, my favorite album was High and Dry, or you know, or even Pyromania. But when you hear Hysteria, you can, within 2 seconds, you go, well, that's Def Leppard. You know, with High and Dry, you know, it kind of sounds a little bit like AC/DC in parts.
Right.
And it's someone else's kind of groove. I think the band was still finding their feet, if you like, you know, but I think that kind of obviously hit home in Pyromania, and certainly on Hysteria it became uniquely Def Leppard, that particular sound, you know. And again, like I said, you know, it crossed over into other genres of music. You know, I'd hear, you know, pop artists or female singers and R&B vocal groups, you know, doing the same thing that we were doing, you know, kind of being influenced by that. And that's really cool, you know. It's kind of pretty exciting when you can actually cross over like that. And that was the thing to me, like hitting it on the head. It was the apex of our career, because it actually influenced so many different things, and it sounded very unlike anyone else at the time. It was just a very Def Leppard kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's lost on a lot of people. I don't mean to be presumptuous, but I will just say it. A lot of people, they bag on contemporary country music, pop country.
Right.
And Mutt Lange, he brought those huge hooks from pop contemporary country to Def Leppard. And yeah, there's no violins, there's no, you know, pedal steel on a Def Leppard album, but that vibe, those hooks, those big choruses, you can hear that in those early albums that he worked on with you. And to me, that's the success of your crossover, is him bringing that sensibility.
Absolutely. I mean, I actually, you know, I think Mutt was responsible for bringing country to the masses. I know it's huge right now, but you know, Shania Twain, when he started working on those albums, you know, I remember hearing Shania Twain in Japan on an escalator years ago, and I was thinking, wow, that's the first country music I've ever heard in Japan, and there it was, just blasting away. So just making that kind of hybrid crossover is just an amazing thing to be able to do, and he does it spectacularly. And again, you know, he done it with us, and like I said, you know, certainly with Shania Twain, I actually think, like I said, you know, that was the blueprint, if you like, for country music. Same deal with AC/DC. You know, he kind of brought a really hard rock band over into a contemporary thing. You know, Back in Black's one of the biggest selling albums of all time, and it's, you know, it's a hard rock album. It actually crossed right over. You know, I hear Keith Richards. You know, he loves like Highway to Hell. It's one of his favorite albums, and you know, if you can do that, that's a huge deal.
Yeah, and it's also a great sounding record too.
Thanks. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I want to play another track. This is called Super Biker, one of my favorite tracks from the album Punk Funk Rock Roots.
Roots Rock, yeah. Cool, thank you.
It's a great tune.
Yeah.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yes. Yes, indeedy. I can dig it. True Tone Music is a virtual candy store for guitarists and bass players. They're world famous for having the best selection of new, used, and vintage guitars in the Los Angeles area. Located at 714 Santa Monica Boulevard in the city of Santa Monica, True Tone Music offers the widest selection of exceptionally high-quality guitars and basses. They stock name brands like Fender, Gibson, Guild, Epiphone, Gretsch, and much, much more. It's where the top names in the music industry shop for guitars, basses, amps, boutique pedals, and accessories. Whether you want to buy, sell, trade, get guitar lessons, or repairs, True Tone Music super cool staff is there to make your music come to life. They'll also match any online price and back it up with top-notch customer service and support. Visit them online at TrueToneMusic.com or call 310-393-8232. That's 310-393-8232. Ask for Ken. Tell him Oscar said hello. And buy some stuff. Do that. Yes, you'll be happy. Yes. Mr. Collen.
Hey.
That was a cool cut, man. I enjoyed that song very much. So I hate to torture you because you can't move your hand. But what kind of gear are you using nowadays, guitar-wise? Did you get a new signature model by any chance?
Well, I've been using the PC1, the Jackson PC1. That's I think it's almost 16 years that's been out. So and very little refinements. I think we added a tone control to it, you know, because it had a volume and a controller for the sustainer, which it's got in it. It has all the high screaming feedback and everything I actually do on them. But I've got another model called a Supreme, but that's kind of a custom-made thing. You know, it's a neck through, and you know, it's got a whammy bar and a sustainer and that, and it's crazy. It's over the top. And if you've seen the movie Viva Hysteria, I use one on I think Run Riot and Don't Shoot Shotgun. I use it on them tracks. But yeah, they're pretty amazing. And this Jackson's is all I use actually. Apart from I've got this red Strat that I use occasionally, which is really nice. I'm using that a lot on the blues album. So yeah.
You got a really you've got this like 70s era telly on your site that's really nice.
I do. Yeah, I got that in Dublin. When we was actually writing the Hysteria album in '84, it was in this shop, and it kind of, the bridge went all rusty, and the neck was kind of a bit warped, but it's got a really big neck on it, and you know, I got it fixed up and, you know, refretted and everything, and it's pretty amazing. Actually, that's made a lot of appearances on some of the Def Leppard stuff over the years, you know, as a rhythm guitar and stuff. It's very cool. I took on Nine Lives, a song, you know, we did with Tim McGraw. I used it on that, so that's its most prominent kind of record, I think.
What is it about big necks that you like so much?
I'm not really sure, but I don't like the little thin necks. I feel like I'm going to break them. I don't. At the moment, it's kind of really weird 'cause I'm using really light strings at the moment. I'm using 10s because you know, I can't really bend any notes on it. Today was the first day I actually bent a string, and actually, because, you know, obviously I haven't been able to do it. But yeah, usually it's the big fat necks with fat frets and strings, and I like playing really quite aggressively. So you know, when they're thin and everything, I can't really dig into it. Kind of, it doesn't make me feel like I'm playing a guitar.
What string gauge are you using?
13 to 54.
Damn. Holy smokes. Whoa, my gosh, man.
What? No.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, it's metal picks as well. And actually, you know, it has something to do with the sound as well. It's kind of the metal picks, you know, and because I play hard, and really aggressive, it makes it really quite present, and you can hear the attack on it. So I kind of love that. It's always been a favorite thing of mine, you know. So yeah, especially when you're playing full shred stuff like on that last song, you know, you can actually hear the metal pick kind of clicking against the strings. So I dig all that. It's great.
Well, you know, for some guitarists, that feels like a fight. You know, to have such a big neck, such heavy gauge strings, and to want to shred. There's some stuff on the DVD Hysteria, Aviva Hysteria, and you are just flying across the fretboard. And I'm like, you know, that's hard to do with that heavy gauge. If they were like 9s or 10s, yeah, no problem. But you got some muscular hands there, sir.
Yeah, thank you. It's actually part of the sound. I didn't really realize it until I had this accident, you know, because, you know, I tried to, you know, do some things, and I was like, wow, that's really part of my sound. Actually, on this last tour, you know, there's a solo in Rock of Ages, which is really quite simple, but I used my fingers to pull the strings. There's a lot of, like, bending. I actually couldn't do it. I had to get Vivian to play it because, you know, on the tour, I was like, every time I kind of would pull the string down, the tendon would pop and my hand would go the other way. Actually, a couple of times, my finger fell off the fretboard while we were playing. It was like kind of embarrassing, but you know, it'll be okay. You know, it's you know, I got better as the tour went on. It kind of, you know, your body figures out how to do it, which is incredible. You know, but yeah, I think it's, you know, part of my thing. I really look, you know, like that kind of style of playing, really.
Yeah, I like big necks too, and I thought, and most people I know they like smaller necks because it's easy, you know, and I'm a big neck guy, and they go, oh, I like little necks. But a couple of years ago I did a tour of the Jackson factory, and they let me play your guitar, your PC1. That is not a big neck. That is a huge neck. I mean, it is.
Right. Yes.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever played the original Jeff Beck model guitars.
Yes,
those were huge, ridiculous, and I think they scaled them back because they weren't for human consumption. But yours is like probably bigger than that.
It is. I think it was the biggest one that ever had in the factory. So it's biggest one Jackson or Fender had ever made. And that's, but the main thing is tone. You know, I actually done an experiment once. You know, I had a kind of a fairly thin neck on this Telecaster, and it made me not want to play it. And we changed it out and put a monster on it, and the tone completely changed. It was like, you know, it rang better. You know, it all depends on what neck it is. You know, you can get something necks that are great, you know, but for me, I just like the sounds. You know, it's this kind of more tone. You know, it's like just more wood, and if you get the right body neck combination, it's just killer with a big monster neck.
Yeah, well, your tone is great, man. It's just awesome.
Thank you.
And especially. And if anybody, you know, if they think that Def Leppard is the studio creation, you have to check out Viva Hysteria, because that's the real deal. I mean, they get everything. It's like it's even better because it's just this visceral thing. It's people playing together. You know, it's really awesome. And speaking of that, I want to play a cut. This is the single from the latest Def Leppard single, "Love and Affection." It's a really cool tune. It goes a little like this.
The
Wow. That's very cool. Wow, Mr. Collen. You guys play very well. You still there?
Hello?
You still there?
I am, yes.
Oh,
indeed.
great. Great. I was just really enjoying that track. That's very cool.
Thank you.
But I want to talk about amps. Because last time I spoke to you, you said you were for Manraze, you were using a Cyber Twin, and you have whole different rigs going on depending on what country you're in, and then Manraze, Def Leppard. What is your favorite amp right now that you're using?
It's the same one actually. It's the same. I do use a Cyber Twin for the Manraze stuff because it's so easy. It's a combo, and and sometimes I just hook it up to these EVH cabs. And it's just killer. It's very simple and easy way to. It's got all the effects in it and everything. But for Def Leppard, I've actually changed it a little. I'm still using the JMP one, the rack-mounted Marshall, and I've got an old Randall solid-state power amp that I still use. That's been around the world a million times. But I'm using a fractal, guitar effects for all the effects. I used to use a Palmer speaker simulator, and I don't really need to do that anymore because everything goes through the guitar effects thing. Actually, it's just a very clear, clean, tone, and it's a great way of getting it. So that's really the only change. And actually on VV Hysteria, it's that as well. It's the fractal on that as well.
Mm. Yeah, you had quite a rig for your Def Leppard sound because, you have to. There's a lot of stuff going on there. You're still using the 4 Marshall cabs?
Yeah, but again, that's only for the people in the in the front row really, because I use in-ear monitors, and I do think it's important to get a bit of a rumble going. Plus, Rick Savage is the only one in the band who actually doesn't wear in-ear monitors, so he definitely needs a reference point. So when we do sound checks, it's really however loud he wants or however quiet, because it doesn't really matter to me, because we're all just we're in our own little world with these in-ear monitors. But it is good to have that rumbling on stage and to actually feel that a little bit. But the rig really is. I'm trying to get it smaller, and like I said, it's only 3 components really. It's the power amp, the JMP one, and the fractal. That's about it at the moment. And then like I said, Manraze is just the Cyber Twin. And then, when I record, I'm actually using Guitar Rig 5, and that's what I've been using for the last few years. It was version 4 before that. But, even the Def Leppard stuff, All About Believing and Undefeated, that was all the Guitar Rig. And the song you played earlier is the Manraze stuff, I Surrender. Same deal. I actually done that in my kitchen table.
Wow.
Played it live, just plugged it straight into my computer and just dialed the sound up.
We live in amazing times, don't we?
Unbelievable. I mean, it's like black magic to me. I kind of plug in and go, oh my God, if I could have done this 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I wouldn't have believed anyone. You plug into a computer and away you go. And honestly, you can get any sound you want if you. I don't really spend that much time on it, to be quite honest. It's kind of right or it's not. That's one of the interesting things about a lot of players. They go, well, what amps you using? But I pretty much sound the same if I'm playing through a Marshall or a Fender or even software. It still kind of sounds like me, and I think that's what most people should kind of realize. It's more about what makes them feel good, as opposed to actually what the thing is. It could be any brand. If it kind of does it for you and you actually get what you like out of it, then it's the best amp in the world. You know what I mean?
So true, so true. Okay, we're at the end of the show, but I have to ask you this. How is Vivian Campbell?
He's great. I saw him the other day, actually. We went up and met up with Nikki Sixx and done one of his radio show, which was really good fun. Vivian's doing great. He's in remission. He had all the chemo treatments and everything, and he's just got so far so good. And he's got probably about 6 months, and they'll tell him, if it's gone completely. But so far they can't detect any of the cancer. So yeah, the chemo works great for him, and he's doing wonderful. He's actually in really good spirits and strong and everything. So yeah, great.
That's great news. That's great to hear. Phil Collen, thank you very much for coming on my program. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Seriously.
Come back anytime. If you want to promote anything, your all reggae album, your ska album, whatever you want to do, count me in.
It's kind of cutting out a bit now. I can barely hear you again.
That's the fans are going crazy. That's why. Well, thank you so much.
There you go. Perfect.
Well, thank you so much. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. All right. Cheers. Thank you.
Well, that's our show. I'd like to thank our guest, Phil Collen. Set mind to purpose and visit him at philcollenpc.com or the Def Leppard website at defleppard.com. Go forth and purchase every piece of music he has ever written. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, True Tone Music at truetonemusic.com, making your music come to life. Also, Mojave Ampworks. Visit the Oasis of Tone at mojaveampworks.com. Want to become a sponsor? Email me at oscarsguitarshop@gmail.com. Tune in next week when our guest will be former Fishbone and Miles Davis guitarist John Bigham. Take care of yourselves. Be nice to each other. See you next week. Same bat time. Same bat channel.